Hello, welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I don't ever want to get on a train with Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee.
And I'm Gary. And today we're going to review and discuss The Horror Express, which came out in 1972 from director Gene Martin. Iain, why don't you give us the synopsis?
Well, the story follows Christopher Lee's character, Professor Saxton. Professor Saxton has just uncovered a fossilized prehistoric man in the province of China and is hoping to take it on the Trans-Siberian Express to take it back for studying. The frozen prehistoric man seems to come to life and starts killing passengers on the train, and as Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing start investigating the deaths, they realize that the thing inside the caveman may not be from this planet.
Now, I'm pretty sure everyone at this point knows who Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing are.
Yeah, you got to.
They are, two pillars of the horror genre. The Hammer horror films that they produced as Dracula and Van Helsing, amongst all of the others. And I'll be honest and say that I've only ever really seen a small selection of those films.
Yeah.
But, I've seen Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing in countless other films as well.
Yeah.
And, watching this film, I had really no expectations, but as soon as they came up on screen, I just relaxed into the film immediately.
Yeah. This film had a very Hammer horror theme to it, and yet has no connections to Hammer horror other than the two main leads. And I wiki all the films I ever do, and when I wikied this one, because I'd never heard of it before, but it came in as a request, I'm like, okay, I've got to wiki it. And it's funny how many similarities in the story I saw coming from other sci-fi epics.
Yeah, this really does seem like it is an adaptation of Who Goes There?
Yes.
By John W. Campbell. It's like an alternate Thing movie on a train.
Yeah.
And I had no idea as the film was going on. I was like, this feels really familiar. I can't quite put my finger on it. And so the opening of the film has Christopher Lee on an expedition in China somewhere.
Yeah.
Where he finds the fossilized remains of this thing that's been in the ice for what he thinks is like 2 million years.
Yeah, something like that.
So he boxes it up and he intends on bringing it home to do studies on. And that's, of course, when, we get introduced to Peter Cushing's character. I like the sequence where Christopher Lee's trying, he's been told he's got no train ticket.
Oh, that sequence was absolutely awesome. I mean, I just want to bring up, how epic does Christopher Lee look with a mustache?
Yeah.
It's like, who's the bigger star, me or my mustache? Just like, well, you sir. But he's there looking so strong, and he's giving shit to the conductor. I called you 3 weeks ago. I booked my place. I should be getting my space on board this train. And the conductor's like, nope, sorry. And then Dr. Wells walks in, Peter Cushing with his assistant Miss Jones, and literally there's a bit of a rivalry there already.
A little bit, yeah.
They kind of look down on each other, like, oh well, you study this and I study that, and well,
when she said, or when he says he's into fossils and bones.
Yeah.
And I was like, of course, like Christopher Lee.
Oh, I'm just collecting a few specimens. Miss Jones, let me introduce Professor Alexander Saxton. He dabbles in fossils and bones.
But it's the way that Dr. Wells walks up to the conductor and it's like, yeah, I need a passage on this train. I need this. And the conductor's like, that's not going to happen. And Peter Cushing's like, here's some money. And then he turns to Christopher Lee and says, that's how the Americans do it. And Christopher Lee's like, we call that bribery. And it's the way he walks up to the conductor's table and just pushes everything onto the floor like, fuck you, I want my fucking ticket. And the conductor's like, what the hell are you doing? And then the guards come in and the guards are like, Sir Saxton. Oh, you're Sir? Oh, I didn't realise. Oh, here's your ticket. Here it is. And Christopher Lee's like, fucking damn right. But it's at this point as well, somebody is trying to sneak a peek at the crate, which is on the station platform. And while we're watching Lee and Cushing do their thing, it cuts back. And the picklock that we come to know him as, he's dead, and his eyes have completely turned white, and it's like, wow, okay, something fucked him up. Is that radioactive? But they managed to get everything on board the train, and I was unsure about this. We saw a lot of train shots.
Oh yeah,
through the film.
Now there is a mixture of real train and a lot of miniatures, toy trains.
Yeah.
But I love the miniatures in this film. You know, there's the snowy sort of landscape as the train's going past, sort of rickety on the rails.
Yeah.
I loved it. I appreciated it all. And it should be said that this is a beautiful restoration for this film.
Yes, yeah.
It looks fantastic now that it's been restored on Blu-ray. So I can really appreciate it, because often or not, when you think about films from sort of the 70s era, they look like this. You know, very grainy, pixelated, washed out colours, extended borders on the sides, and it's just, you know, that can put a lot of audience members off even wanting to watch the film. But with this restoration, it looks fantastic. And yeah, now more so you can see some of the ropier effects, and some of the miniature train models are now more obvious, but that for me just immediately became part of the charm of the film.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's just an appeal sometimes to watching classic films, you know, that have been restored. And yeah, you can look in the background and go, oh, look at that, and look at that. But at least you're still looking. You haven't turned the film off and gone, I'm not actually ever watching it. But Eugenio Martín, the director, you know, he's a Spanish director.
Yes.
You know, and a lot of the actors in this film are Spanish or
there's a lot. There's Chinese, Polish, English, American.
Yeah, but he managed to cement Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee as his leads, and so he was so happy because at least he could be able to sell it on as a partial Hammer horror movie.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of people discovered this film when looking for other Hammer horror films. Yeah, and this one came up. Apparently, this film did very badly in Spain. Obviously, where the film was made.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not amazing, but you know, we'll get to that. But they finally get the crate on board, and
the crate growls.
Yeah, the crate growls at one point. And you're just like,
they all heard it.
Does that happen all the time? You know, there's supposed to be a fossilized man inside it. And Cushing gets the luggage dude on the train to try and sneak a peek.
Yeah, Peter Cushing's curious, and he's like, yeah, just go and tell me what's inside there.
Yeah, and so we see the luggage conductor, you know, he's unscrewing or taking out nails. And I'm like, why are you doing that? There's a big fucking hole in the side of the crate. You could have just removed the fucking sheet and gone, oh yeah, it's a fossilized man. But it's the way he goes off. And while he's off, the creature or the prehistoric man reaches out, starts to pick the lock.
It was almost at this point that I was scribbling notes like, what the is going on? Like, this thing has been dead for 2 million years, and the first thing it does when it wakes up is go, oh, that's a match, nope, that's too flimsy, oh, it's a nail, I can bend that and pick my lock. I was like, what?
But the explanation will come along. And
it does, it gets explained.
It gets explained, but the luggage conductor, he gets killed.
Yes.
And we get this,
another ridiculous scene follows, and this one is ridiculous, where they're like, yes, we need to break open the contents to see what's inside this because somebody died on the platform and now the luggage guy has disappeared. So he's like, grab that axe. And the whole lock just falls away. I'm like, what? Like you were gently hitting it, and then the metal chain just gives away. I was like, that just wouldn't happen. But you know, you forget about that when the shock moment that the luggage guy is in the crate, and he's got the white eyes.
So the prehistoric man has killed him, and then stuck him back inside the box and locked him back up. And I love that way that Lee was trying to fight them not to open the box.
Yeah.
Like, he kind of knew what was in there.
Well, of course he knew what it was, but I don't think he knew anything else.
Well, that was it. But I kind of got the feeling like you saw him and like 6 other people walking on this expedition at the beginning, and he gave his narrative about how something bad had befallen the expedition, and this is his explanation for it. And then when he's so protective over his crate, I was just like, so this thing has killed all the other members of your expedition and you're trying to keep it hidden, or what? But then I'm trying to think of, is Peter Cushing the bad guy? Because he's trying to see what's inside it and is actually trying to help the detectives open the crate because he wants to see who's the bad guy here.
Well, at this point I was getting the idea that perhaps Christopher Lee was the villain, and you know, because it's Christopher Lee.
He's just got that face.
Exactly, you think he's just trying to protect whatever it is he's got in there as like the servant for it, but I'm like, Christopher Lee's never really the servant to something more greater than him.
Yeah, so. he don't fuck around. But it's the way Cushing also explains as well, like, well, he questions it. He's just like, so what you're basically telling me is that this 2 million year old caveman has broken out of his crate, killed this guy, and then stuffed him back in the crate and locked it all back up.
And now is loose on the train somewhere.
Yeah, and Lee has no answer.
No.
And it's just so brilliantly emoted on his face, like, you can tell his mind is questioning everything, and as one of the smartest people on this train, he's got no answers.
My God. It's the baggage man.
So while this is all happening, there are scenes of all of the other characters on the train. So this is kind of, it's not an ensemble piece really, but there's lots of other interesting characters going on.
Yes.
To break up the monster stuff. And we have the Countess.
Yes.
And her over-the-top obsessed priest who is completely devout. I mean, this is set in the early 1900s.
You know what? I thought it stopped at Rawhead Rex. Okay, I thought religious people seeing the symbol of Satan and just bending their fucking will to it had ended at Rawhead Rex. But no, this guy, Alberto de Mendoza, playing Father Pajardov. Now, he looks like Rasputin.
Right.
He looks fucking evil, and he looks absolutely insane, but he has some really good scenes, like that beginning scene when they're on the platform and he's just like, you put the symbol of the cross on anything, and then he tries to do it on the box and it won't appear. And he just knows that whatever's inside needs to be destroyed. But at the same time, with his interactions with the Count and the Countess, and how, I don't know, they're blaspheming against God because she wants to know what kind of dress she should wear to meet the Englishman, and he's like, he's kind of in love with her as well, so he's ready just to give up his fucking religious fucking beliefs like at the drop of a hat. And I'm like, right, why can't we just throw this guy off the train? I totally don't trust that guy.
You think evil can be killed with bullets? Satan leaves.
Silvia Tortosia playing the Countess, very pretty.
Yeah.
Very pretty. And I really thought that she would be the most prettiest person in the whole film. You know, the damsel in distress. When I saw Helga Line playing Natasha, wow. Now, fucking 1970s fucking bad script writing planning on this part, but Natasha is an international thief, and she's snuck herself aboard the train because she wants to break into the safe and steal whatever's in the safe. But we don't know that at the beginning. She's literally walking down the carriage compartment, sees a guard, and just jumps inside the compartment that Lee and Cushing are staying in. And I'm like, oh, well, this is where we find out about her, and she tells her story. Nope. We cut to something else, and then when we cut back, she's crying into Cushing's arms, and it's like she's already explained everything to him.
And we missed it all.
And we missed it all. He doesn't even ask her name at all. I had to look into the fucking cast line to find her, to find out what her name was, because halfway through the film, when she goes missing, he calls her Miss.
Miss, are you there?
Doesn't even use her name. It was like, well, what was she called?
What was she? You just invited this total stranger into your private place, left all your valuables lying around, and just not care. But it was also just kind of sleazy. Like you could tell Peter Cushing's character was really just wanting to fuck her. Seriously, because there's that point where Lee comes into the compartment as well, and he's like, I'm sharing this compartment with you, and Cushing's like, no, I'm compartment 8, and he's kind of pointing behind him like
Get out.
Get out, I've got something. And Lee's just like, no, that's 8B, I'm 8A, I'm top bunk. And they're arguing, and she just kind of kicks her shoes off and climbs onto the bottom bunk like, you guys fight it among yourselves, I'll be here. So immediately I just imagined Lee and Cushing kind of cuddling on the top bunk and her being on the bottom.
Well, it's funny you should mention that because in the behind the scenes of the film, Christopher Lee would share a bed with Peter Cushing.
Yeah, this was emotional reading this.
It was, yeah, because this was the same year that Peter Cushing's wife passed away.
Yeah.
I think it was February of 1971 that she passed away. And this was filmed in December of that year.
Right.
And Peter Cushing didn't even want the role. He didn't want to do the film. He was just like, look, this is too soon after my wife's death. And Christopher Lee's like, look, it's been like 8 months.
Yeah.
Come and do this film with me. You know, you're not the lead. You know, we'll kind of share the lead role.
Yeah.
But it was him having conversations with Peter Cushing about all the other films they'd worked on together, just reminiscing about the good times that they'd had together, which helped Peter Cushing sort of get through this really horrible part of his life.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he missed his wife so much that he had night terrors and couldn't sleep. And so Christopher Lee had to get in bed with him to help him through those nights.
Yeah.
And it's really sad.
You say it's sad, but I also think it's just really beautiful that they've got that kind of friendship.
Absolutely.
You know,
yeah.
and you've got such a good person in Christopher Lee to be able to turn around and say, look, you are my friend, you know, and... You know, God knows what was going through Cushing's mind at that point, but to see your friend at that low point, you're just like, look, we need to get you back on the horse kind of thing. We need to get you back into what you do and what you love. And it shows in that. I mean, when I read the background and saw that Lee and Cushing were in the film, I thought that they were both going to be the
against
most
each other
parts.
again.
Yeah. But there's many a times where we just follow Lee. You know, Lee is the main lead. He is the scientist investigating all this stuff going on. And as we go through the film, you know, this creature is...
Well, there are some really kind of atmospherically well-shot moments where you just see the creature sort of stalking or moving around the train. Like there's a scene where the kids are asleep.
The kids are asleep, and he, you know, you're thinking, oh, fuck, is he going to kill these kids? But, you know, he doesn't. In a weird way, you know, he knows that they're not a threat unless they wake up and make noise, but it's also that way as well, where he kind of it's kind of like he's jumped off the train, but he hasn't. He's actually just hidden on top of the train, and I'm thinking, oh, he was probably freezing, but then I'm like, well, he's a prehistoric man, you know, he's been frozen for 2 million years. He's fine.
Covered in fur anyway, so he's very hairy.
Yeah,
he'll be fine.
But we start to uncover that the white eyes of all of its victims might have something to do with the creature or the prehistoric man absorbing the memories from its victims.
They do an autopsy on some of the dead people on the train, and their brain has like
completely smoothed over. The weird thing is, I didn't know any of this stuff, but when I saw this move, I'm like, oh, that's why brains are wrinkled, because of all of our thoughts and memories and things like that. And then literally 2 seconds later, Peter Cushing's like, as you can see, it's all smooth. It's like all the information's been sucked out because it wrinkles the brain. I'm like, I'm smart. I'm as smart as Peter Cushing.
It's all wrong.
Yeah, I know. I know, but...
And it's just a big rubber spongy brain. It's just like, it's an awful effect, but it's fine.
But it works for the explanation, because like you said, with the caveman trying to break out the box, you know, how is he going to know how to lockpick? And it's because he'd already absorbed the brain, the information from the Chinese man at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, he knows the ins and out of the train now because he's got the luggage conductor. You know, and the more victims he comes across, the more information this thing is being able to take up. And it's when he actually kills Natasha, who was trying to steal well, no pun intended, she was trying to steal the steel from the Count because, well, like we said, it's 1916 and they've literally just made the chemical formula for making steel. And so he's absorbed her mind, and Cushing comes across the creature and the creature attacks him. But Inspector Mirov turns up, and he's been on the train this whole time trying to investigate all the deaths, sees the creature and puts a bunch of bullets into it. But there's a moment, a small hypnotic moment between the two of them that I was like, whoa, that was some kind of transference. And it started making me think of The Hidden.
Oh yeah.
You know, so like we said, there's the thing in here, there's parts of what we would see in The Hidden, and later on, you know, it gets even more crazier. They decide to do an autopsy on the eye of the prehistoric man after it's been killed. And wow, I did not know you could do this. I literally did not know you could take the eye juice out of something's eye and be able to see memory images imprinted on the eye juice.
Well, I don't think that works for most people.
Well,
maybe alien creatures, yes, maybe.
The prehistoric man wasn't an alien creature.
Well, I guess it was. The host of whatever it was.
I love how the little images kind of move past. Like,
yeah.
Ooh, they just slide past.
You see dinosaurs go past, and then eventually you see the Earth go past. But you got to imagine at this point in time, no one's left the planet Earth. No one's been on the moon.
No, that was it.
You know?
It's all like, oh, that's completely impossible.
We don't have the steel rockets that they mention.
And we start to uncover from the inspector that he's absorbing all the memories from all the people and wants to construct his own ship to be able to break out of the planet.
Yeah.
So he's questioning like the engineer on how the metal would work on the spaceship to be able to break the Earth's atmosphere. He's then speaking to Christopher Lee's character and trying to get explanations and how this whole stuff would work. But along the way, he's absorbing more and more of these memories so that when he gets the chance, he can make his own ship and escape. So part of me was like, is this creature evil? It's one of those thing moments again. Like,
yeah, it's not. It doesn't seem to be inherently evil, but it's.
It's going about it the whole wrong way of communicating with people.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but it's it was something that we said in the Thing prequel video where I was just like, with that creature, when Kate's got the flamethrower on it, it's like you just want to talk to it.
Yeah.
You want to ask it a couple of questions, like why did you kill everyone? Why did you absorb everyone? Like just a why would be awesome and horrific. As an audience member, it would probably help ruin the film if you've got an explanation for it because it's best left unsaid. But there's a point when the creature is now in sorry, I'm jumping a bit.
Spoilers.
When the creature has jumped into the priest character.
Yes.
And and the priest character as the monster is just like, look, I'll end world hunger, famine, disease.
Oh yes, I love that bit.
And it's like, that's like the deal with the devil, where it's like the creature says it could do all those things, but it probably means by eradicating the entire human race and absorbing all of your knowledge.
Yes. Yeah.
It's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was left behind. An accident. I survived in protozoans, fish, vertebrates. The history of your planet is part of me. Pull the trigger, and you will end it.
But for the most part, the creature is in the detective.
Yes.
And it is a bit of I guess a plot hole that doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, he's got a hairy hand.
Yeah.
And he's trying to hide it. And
like the creature that they brought on the
like
train.
the caveman. But the weird thing is, when he jumps into the priest doesn't have a hairy hand. So I'm like, well, why was it so prominent? Because there were so many scenes with the detective where he was actually trying to hide his hand from people seeing it. But as the investigation deepens and Wells and Saxton realise that the creature or whatever was inside the prehistoric man isn't dead because more bodies are turning up, they group everybody together in one of the compartments of the train, and there's shit tons of passengers. I was really surprised there were so many people in this film. And the detective will not let anybody off the train. Now, mainly I put that down to he wouldn't let anybody off because he didn't want to be threatened or found out.
Yeah.
You know, but then I'm like, well, does he just want to kill everybody on board and take them for himself? I didn't know, but they start to look into people's eyes.
Yeah.
You know, like they need a magnifying glass to see if your eyes are white.
Well, for me, it was just like the thing sequence, the blood tests,
the
metal test.
Yeah,
it's like, let's do the eye test.
Yeah, but I get that. But why would you need a magnifying glass? Like, you can see that their eyes are not white. Why would you
He's a
need...
scientist,
Yeah,
you know?
scientist. But it's when the train conductor himself has been killed because he's been tasked by Saxton to send a message further on to another train station to ask for assistance because of all these dead bodies. And the inspector has killed the conductor in hope that the message has not got through. But it has. And we are introduced to Telly Savalas' character.
Awesome.
Captain Karnov. Man, he fucking ate up the scenery, didn't
I couldn't
he?
believe it. I did not expect him to have such a film presence when up against Lee and Cushing. He almost steals the film from right out from under them.
And he's only in it for such a short moment, but
Yeah.
he's just like walking around, he's drinking. I know the devil. You think a murderer has 2 arms and 2 legs. The devil can do whatever apart from go up against an honourable, honest Cossack. I'm like, whoa.
He just oozes charisma, even though he's a bit of a douche. He's an awesome character actor.
Absolutely brilliant. And they actually stop at the train station to let the captain on with all of his armed guards. And the soldiers all come on board, and they're wanting to find out what's going on. And he starts to question everybody. Gives Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee a bit of a beatdown as well.
Yeah.
Which I was very surprised.
He physically beats Lee down.
Yeah.
If instead of babbling nonsense, you'd investigate this properly.
Oh, this is outrageous. Oh.
It's when Lee realizes that to actually see the creature properly, you need to turn off the light. Because he can only do his red eye attack
in the dark.
In the darkness. Any bright light, and he has to stay normal. So he flicks the light down, and everybody sees that the creature is inside the inspector. The inspector tries to make a run for it, and they shoot the shit out of him and heavily injure him, which I thought was pretty cool, that the creature wasn't invincible.
Yeah.
And it could only survive outside of its host body for a short time, so it needed to jump to fresh host, which, like I said, made me think of The Hidden. And the priest at this point, he knew the inspector was fucking evil.
Yeah. Now, it's the thing, it's like this priest does a complete switcheroo.
Yeah.
Throughout the film. And the only thing I can attribute it to is the fact that for the first half of the film, you're led to believe that it's Satan, a devil, some kind of demonic entity that was in that crate. And when it breaks free, the priest is like, it's the killer, it's the devil.
Yeah.
And he's using his crucifix and, to try and without effect. And throughout the film, we realise that it's more scientific than that. That it's not Satan, that it's an alien. And so I can only put that down. So that's what sends the priest crazy.
Yeah.
To the point where, because he still thinks it's Satan himself when he's like, take me as the vessel lord or whatever.
Yeah, he's still that. I think it... I put it down to like, his whole life, all of his beliefs have now been shattered.
Right, yeah. That's what I could put. That's how I can only attribute his psychic break.
Like I said, it's the exact same thing with the priest from fucking Rawhead Rex. He sees this great thing and goes, yeah, piss on me. I'm fine, just piss on me. But the father convinces the creature inside the inspector to jump into his body. Yeah. And so he does now. And he literally turns up and fucks up Telly Savalas and all of his guards.
All of them, immediately. I mean, Telly Savalas lasts a little bit longer than the rest, but...
Yeah. But Lee has realised that to protect himself, he needs a bright light.
Yeah.
And he's got a double-barreled shotgun off of Peter Cushing as well. And so, we're going to fucking kill this fucking thing. We cannot let it get off the train. And the creature has gone to the Count and absorbed all of his brain and for the information about the steel, and wants to kill the Countess too. But Lee turns up, and there's a bit of a fracas between them. And this is where the father says to Christopher Lee, I can bring world peace. I can end world hunger. And it just tempts him. And you can tell that there's a moment for Christopher Lee there, like, that would be friggin' awesome.
There is a small kind of, I guess, it doesn't make too much sense where he says that they visited this planet, his race visited the planet millions and millions of years ago, and left him there.
Like
E.T. Yeah, and I'm like
E.T.
And it just makes you think, like, so we have this space-faring race, super technology that can planet hop millions of years ago, yet they didn't realize they left one of their own behind. Like, how does a sophisticated scientifically advanced race do that?
Because one of them was just on having an off day.
Did they leave him on purpose?
Because of the way he is.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, that is a good theory. Because he does say that he started just jumping from creature to creature. Like the whole history of the planet Earth.
He said he went through invertebrates and birds and
fish and all that until he found the prehistoric man and stayed in it. And now he's come to that. And like I said, he tempts Lee with all that knowledge.
Yes,
you know, and Saxton's just like, what you could do with all that, you know, is like his whole life dream. But at the same time, he knows it's completely wrong. And so he's about to blast the alien, and the father's just like, well, there's one more thing. I can raise the dead, but they're blind.
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, it's kind of like Train to Busan now as well.
Yeah.
Zombies
on a train.
Yeah. But it was there was a cool little tense sequence where they're having to make their way back through the carriage where the guards had all been killed, but they're all blind, and so they're all reaching out and grabbing. They're all attacking on noise and things like that, and it really that really worked out. And they all, Lee and the Countess, race to the baggage car
at the back of the train,
which is at the back of the train, and the father goes to the front of the train to keep the train going. But a message has been passed. I don't know where the fuck.
Yeah, I didn't know either.
Where the fuck did Moscow get the information, be able to pass the information to the train station further ahead to say, yeah, switch tracks, we want the train destroyed. Right. And the guy's like, maybe we're at war.
Yeah.
Maybe we're at war with Norway.
And so they managed to separate the carriage of the train, and we watch this wonderful miniature go flying off and crash and explode at the bottom.
Boom.
And of course the last carriage that's got all the survivors in it just about to teeter off the edge and stops.
Just stops right then.
And it's cut well enough that you see them, you know, peering out to look down at the destruction.
Yeah.
And then back to the miniatures again. And, you know, I have to say that when they filmed this film, obviously all the train being miniatures, they had a very small set space.
Yeah.
So much so that they only had enough set space to build one carriage. So when they shot this film, they had to build one of the carriages, then film all of the scenes that would occur in that one carriage, then empty it all out, and then set up the next carriage within the same set space.
And then re-edit all
and
together.
then film all the sequences in that one. So that was how the film was shot. It was carriage by carriage.
Wow.
Which I think is great, how they did so much with so little.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And again, I also love films that are all set on one location near enough.
Yes.
And I was a little bit surprised, though, that, you know, you look down and you see the train exploding, you see the survivors, and they don't say anything. It just pops up, finished. But you don't know if that creature's still really dead. I mean, it survived 2 million years on the ice.
Yeah, but that thing just took a massive dive off a cliff, and the train exploded.
Yeah.
And even on the unlikelihood that the priest's body is still going, the creature can't survive very long.
Well,
outside.
I don't know, because it survived 2 million years
Well,
in that fossilized corpse.
I mean,
we've seen the thing.
It could be like it could be like Fallen all over again. There could have been like a random cat down there, and the creatures just literally jump down and go, oh, they should remake Horror Express.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. This restoration for the film, to me, says they don't need to.
Yeah.
I mean, there's influences in this film in so many other films now that this film is a classic.
Yeah.
So, favourite scenes, Iain?
I had quite a few. Christopher Lee throwing all the conductor's stuff off the table and just stand there looking so fucking awesome with his mustache. You know, it's the fact that he doesn't say anything. You know, he says something to Cushing 2 seconds before, and then just walks up and just grabs all the stuff and just fucking lobs it.
I couldn't believe it when he did it.
I was just like, only Christopher Lee could be badass enough just to do that. And he does it in just such one big swipe as well.
Yeah.
The whole table just clears. Like, you know who the fuck you're talking to? I love the part where Saxton and Cushing realise they're sharing the compartment. You know, and there's just that brief little argument between them about who's getting the top bunk and who's getting the bottom bunk. Miss Jones. Now, Miss Jones was a bit of a weird character, and I really did kind of like her, especially when Cushing came up to her when they were having dinner. And he says to her, I need your help. And she looks over and goes, well, of course you do. Like, he can't have sex with these two young people, so he's going to have sex with an older lady. And he's like, no, with an autopsy. She's like, oh, right, oh, sorry. But it's when she gets told. Oh, no, she doesn't even get told. She volunteers to go out on her own to check the luggage compartment.
I was like, you do realise you're in a horror movie?
Yeah, you are dead, lady. But it's when she's trying to look inside the crate and she's so short that she can't look over. And she's like, oh, there's nothing in there. And I'm like, how the fuck do you know? There's nothing in there, you know?
Yeah.
Lee explaining to the inspector what he thinks the creature is. I mean, it was such a great explanation. It just filled in all the blanks, made everything seem to make sense. And the whole time that he's doing it to the inspector, who you know is the creature as well, and the creature is not attacking him. But what cemented the fucking scene was when Peter Cushing came in with a double-barreled shotgun, and the inspector says, so the two of you are working together. How do you know neither of you are the creature? And Peter Cushing goes, we're British, don't you know?
What if one of you is the monster?
Monster? We're British, you know.
Like, that's an immunity to fucking being possessed.
Yeah, that is my most memorable and favourite scene from the film. Of course, you know, there's quite a few sort of jokes about the British expense in the film, but yeah, it was just, I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that was a line of dialogue in the film. You know, Peter Cushing has some of the best lines of dialogue in the film.
Oh yeah, he always does deliver really well.
So yeah, other favourite scenes for me, it's you know, they're memorable. I don't think that they're not my favourite. They're memorable, and it's the effect that they used to show the deaths and the sort of alien entity taking over another host.
Yeah.
And it's basically, you know, watching their eyes go normal, and then you can see, you know, you can see the cut where they've then got the lenses on and the blood and it, you know, but the camera keeps doing this small fade where it's sort of, where the actor just sort of passes by the camera and it keeps getting closer and coming back again. And, you know, it's a cheap and effective way of doing it, but it's, you know, I think it's the music as well that just, it's a little bit off and it lasts a little bit longer than perhaps it needed to.
The whistling tune, that was weird.
The whistling tune, I'm like, how did the killer, who doesn't even have lips, is whistling? You know, and it's just, and the arm, there's lots of things that don't add up or make sense, but I kind of forgave a lot of those stuff because I was having a good time with the actors, with the story, with the train setting.
I like the effect that they had when they had that thing on the red eyes.
Yes,
you know, the different actors that
you
had
could
the
sort
red
of
eye
see
effect.
the padding around the eyes, where you know they would have tried to make up and blend it all in, and it's a little bit more obvious now.
Yeah, but it did just work. Yeah, it did just work.
Should also point out that when they shot the film, they recorded no audio for the entire film, so the entire film was dubbed afterwards. And it also turns out there was a female that I can't remember her name. She did the voices for quite a few of the female characters in the film.
Oh, right.
Because there was a time when I confused the Countess with the spy,
Oh.
and I couldn't tell which one was which. And it's because they both got the same voice actress.
Yeah.
And I was like, it threw me off. But with all that said, I still definitely recommend Horror Express. This was a delight. You know, I was shocked that I'd never seen the film in its entirety before, and I almost recommend this film now as a companion piece to John Carpenter's The Thing movie.
Nice.
You know, you can just imagine that before the Norwegians found it, you know, maybe
Christopher Lee found it.
Yeah, you just imagine it's in Antarctic, not in China. You know?
Yeah.
But the Horror Express, if you're a horror fan, you have to watch this film. If you're looking for a film that's going to entertain you, surprise you in places, it's not overly gory, but it is very, very atmospheric. And it has a fairly interesting monster. I mean, we love the Thing creature. It's not in full effect here, but it's still fascinating to watch and learn a little bit more about this creature.
I like the actor who was portraying that creature.
Yes.
You know, I didn't catch his name, but you know, he was a guy in a suit, but he delivered.
Yeah.
You know, his presence on screen worked really, really well.
Yeah, and I mean, the creature itself is pretty standard 70s fare for a corpse, and it also makes me wonder if it was a real corpse that they used for some of those shots, because in that time they usually did.
Probably, yeah.
But I also love the battle again between science and religion.
Yeah.
Lee and Cushing are just fantastic together. I love the miniatures, The music, it works in places. It was a little bit over the top in other places.
Yeah.
But yeah, you check out Horror Express.
See, I wasn't too sure if I was going to recommend this or not, because as I was watching the film, I was actually getting disinterested as the further the film went on. I was just like,
really?
Well, I wanted action. Weirdly enough, I wanted the action.
The film has a fairly high body count as well.
It does, but it doesn't really come until the end. And I was finding myself sitting there like, I'm loving Lee and I'm loving Cushing, but I know how this is going to turn out. I just want something to keep me enthralled with the film. It wasn't until after the film finished that I did actually feel good, and the reason why is it reminded me of like a Friday night when I was younger.
Yeah.
Being at home, BBC One, you're flicking through the channels. Oh, there you go. It's a late night Hammer horror movie.
Well, this film gained a cult following literally from those late night TV showings.
Exactly.
So.
And I know this isn't a Hammer horror movie, but it
is in essence, really.
Yeah, it sits so nicely in that if you are a Hammer horror fan and you've never seen Horror Express, definitely check out this one. I mean, Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee, how much more fucking praise can we give them? Even the other actors in the film, there's not anybody who actually brings the acting down. They all kind of hold their part strong enough that, you don't feel bad that they die, but you do kind of miss them.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, that character's fucking dead. It's also one of those films that you could, if you're not going to watch it late night, for a laugh, you could watch it on a Sunday, on a hangover, sick day, whatever. You're just like, oh, what do I need? I'm just going to stick this on. And for an hour and a half, it's really easy sailing.
Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews. Made a sailing joke. You could have said anything.
I know.
It's a train.
I know. I was trying to think.
train.
I was trying to think of a train joke, but I couldn't think of. I've been trying to think of a train joke the last couple of days.
This film stays on the rails. So.
Oh yeah. Well, you won't go off the track.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking.
You English believe in free speech, don't you, huh?
Certainly.